Anna von Bismarck.
Hey, I'm Charles Dickens.
Hi, I'm Emmeline Pankhurst.
Hi, I'm Frederick Taylor.
Hi, I'm Charles Darwin.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've called this meeting today to discuss how historians will describe our century to future generations, and to discuss what your thoughts are on the progress, or lack thereof, that has been made by this century.
Based on our lack of political achievements in the last 100 years, I have very little hope for the future.
As the Prime Minister of Prussia, I have spent many years uniting Germany under Prussian domination, and because of this, I feel that in the future, Germany will remain united under Prussian domination.
Because the population is on the rise, which will lead to a struggle for resources. However, not all people will be able to survive in an overpopulated environment. Therefore, the weaker will die off, and humanity will be stronger then.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Dickens, but Europe already has the Women's Franchise League, and I personally believe that this will lead to even more rights for women.
I agree with Mrs. Pankhurst because economically in the future, Europe will be more advanced due to my ideas of management science, which include the assembly line and division of labor.
Mr. Dickens, why are you so pessimistic about our future?
Because, Mr. von Bismarck, when I was forced to drop out of school and work at the factory at the age of 15, I saw the poor conditions and the way that workers were treated, and I feel that society is to blame. This could be the beginning of the end for our well-being.
I am actually in agreement with you, Mr. Dickens, because I feel that the middle class shapes most of our society, and if they are forced to work in terrible conditions, what is next for Europe?
I think that in the future there will be a major movement away from the church, because my ideas were abominated since people thought they were disrupting social order. I do believe in God, but I think modern civilization is protecting those who maybe do not deserve to live because they are not strong enough.
Everyone deserves to live, Mr. Darwin. I was arrested and went to jail 3 times because of my strong beliefs that everyone deserves equal rights and that there should not be any discrimination.
I agree with Mrs. Pankhurst on this dispute, Mr. Darwin, because my method of management science included that everyone had a specific importance in the factory as well as in society. I even developed experiments at Bethlehem Steel Corporation because of my strong beliefs in this.
Aside from the importance of each individual, there was a great advancement in the amount of information produced. Well, I personally wrote many books, including A Christmas Carol and Oliver Twist. Oliver Twist is my favorite because it concerns social and moral evils, and because I added humor simultaneously. In A Christmas Carol, I become the first author to create a meaningful piece of literature concerning Christmas. Mr. Taylor, what did you contribute?
Thanks for your concern, Mr. Dickens. After I quit my job, I wrote the Principles of Scientific Management.
Well, I toured the world to speak about women's right to vote, and then I wrote my own story because I felt it necessary that the population be aware of the fact that men are equal to women.
Mm-hmm.
That is kind of impressive. You're obviously very proud of yourself. I personally wrote and passed the Health Insurance Bill of 1883, the Accident Insurance Bill of 1884, and the Old Age and Disability Insurance Bill of 1889.
I published the Journal of Researches into the Geology and Natural History of the various countries visited by the HMS Beagle in 1839. But what you all did was impressive too.
This is much more than I expected from everybody. I also founded the Daily News, and despite the fact that it was the biggest flaw of my career, for some time it was the leading liberal newspaper of the time.
Considering all of our works, this century was progressive in terms of literature and what was recorded historically for the future. What do you all think that our greatest accomplishments were? Personally, I think my greatest achievement was when I started working at the Midville Steel Company. There I was able to work many different jobs and experiments, how to make all of them fit smoothly together in my study of efficient time.
I believe that my greatest achievement was when I quit studying law and my family started influencing my reactionary beliefs against liberal ideas. What about you, Miss Pankhurst?
I think my greatest accomplishment was beginning to study women's suffrage because my efforts led to all British women gaining the right to vote in all elections in 1928.
Miss Pankhurst, I think your achievement will lead to a greater, brighter future overall for women. But I think that my biggest accomplishment was not coming up when my works were referred to as corrupted. My perseverance helped to progress a higher level of thinking in Europe.
I think that the greatest point in my career is when I took note of my happy childhood in Chatham as a rich little boy compared to my hardships and those of others while I worked in a factory. As I wrote about this, it deepened my understanding of the underlying foundation of society.
What you have all said has made me rethink my greatest accomplishment. I think that when I noticed that time and motion were being wasted while I studied workers in factories, it led me to think my next idea of division of labor.
Accomplishment. I think of how I achieved it. My suffragettes and I gained popularity by creating displays of violence in public. I could have done this in a much more peaceful manner.
That's very thoughtful, Miss Pankhurst, and it made me rethink my methods as well. When I was trying to get the Franco-Prussian War started after I won the 7 Weeks' War and the Danish War, I manipulated the French to make them angry so they would declare war against Prussia so I could defeat them.
Despite the new study that I helped create, my greatest regret was probably the way that I presented my findings to the religious public. I could have started small with speeches and newspaper articles versus publishing a book that completely contradicted their views. Warning could have made it easier for them.
Yes, I agree with your new solution because I did not approve how you wrote your book all of a sudden, like you said. All in all, I think this meeting was very productive.
As do I. I can't imagine that people in the future will look back on us and say what we accomplished was negative.
Well, I completely disagree. As I made clear earlier, this era put women in a bad situation. We were at a disadvantage and had to fight for our rights. At least we gained them.
Miss Pankhurst, I admire you for standing up for what you believe in. I thank you and all of our fellow intellects.
The pleasure is all ours.
You can't do that! You can't say that! You can't say that! Aside from the importance of each sorry.
Thanks for your concern, Dickens. After I quit my job, I wrote the principal. Sorry. It says Dickens.
Let's take a breather.
Santa Claus, get down, put your feet. Ow!
Okay.